In this film, I'm going to be showing you how you can achieve the most beautiful, professional, high finish on your silver items simply by using your Dremel or flex shaft. My name's Andrew Berry and welcome to At the Benches YouTube channel. So there is no mystery when it comes to polishing. Like everything else in life, if you follow the correct steps, the correct procedure, well, then the finished final result is going to be nice and easy and absolutely professional. So we're looking at different types of polish to achieve that particular high finish, and also a couple of mops. We're going to be concentrating purely upon either using a Dremel or what I've got by the side of me here, a flex shaft. And preparation, as usual, is everything. First things what you need to do is to have some emery paper, some wet and dry. I'm pretty lazy, okay? I've simply got buff sticks looking a bit worn, as you can see. I use one grit, it's 600 grit. Other people out there say, no, Andrew, you've got to go through all the various grits from 200 to 400 to 600 to 800 to 1000 to 1200. That's where you're going to get the best finish. I totally agree. There are loads of different ways of achieving a high finish, but I've been doing this now for well over 30, 32, 33 years, and I very rarely use the various grades of wet and dry or emery paper. So how do I achieve that perfect final finish? Well, on a buff stick, this is a buff stick that I make myself. I'll put a link up to one of the films by there. I'm not quite sure whether it's by there or by there, to be honest, but either by here or there, linking you to a really old film. I didn't have as much grey then, showing you how to make a buff stick, and I use simply 600 grit. Now, when you make a buff stick, it's nice, brand new. You get nice. Let me just remove this bit of paper actually to show you. All right, so you're going to get a nice, crisp piece of wet and dry emery paper, 600 grit. As you use it and you're buffing, some of that grit's going to wear off, so some of it's going to get clogged up, and over the period of time, a short time, could be minutes, could be hours, your 600 grit will look a bit like this. It'll look a bit worn and dog-eared. Well, that now bit of paper is a lot finer than what it was when it was brand new. So that's going to be a little bit finer. I keep several buff sticks on my bench. Another one here, again, various dates, and you can see by here it's really getting slightly shiny, so it's slightly worn. It isn't 600 grit anymore, it's a lot finer. So what I would be inclined to do is have my piece of metal, nice fresh bit of emery paper, buff, 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 then turn it over, so I'm using the worn side, and use that side to buff. And now we're actually using a finer grit paper because this bit of grit here now is nicely worn, so we're putting a finer bit of texture, bit of direction upon that piece from a finer bit of paper. Perhaps I've got an even worse bit of buff stick that's even finer again. I would switch over and use that. So I don't have separate sandpapers, I don't have separate buff sticks with different grits. It's the same buff stick with the 600 grit. That is all that I do. Then I would simply move on to a pre-polish. Then I would move on to a nice fine finish, a nice high polish. What polish do I use? Years and years ago, and I still use now, I use a block of Tripoli for my pre-polish, and I use some Radio Rouge, or this is AA, something like that, a block of rouge. Simple as that. I've also been known to use a brand called Menzerner. This is a heavy cut Menzerner. It comes in a nice big block like this, Menzerner. And then, depending whether I'm using gold or whether I'm using silver, there's a super finish. The yellow here, it's obviously for yellow metal. That's what I use that for. And there's the super finish here that is white, and I would use that then for a white metal. And that then would produce a beautiful high finish. I would not use all of these together. Perhaps I would use Tripoli and rouge, so a pre-polish and a final polish. Perhaps I'll use the heavy cut Menzerner and the rouge, or I may use Tripoli and super. Well, yeah, you basically get, you can interchange them, but I won't necessarily use all of them together. A pre-polish and a final polish. So let's quickly show you what I do. Oh, and then mops, yes, good idea. I'm glad you said mops, Andrew, I heard you say. If we're using the flex shaft, we're going to be using some small little hard calico mops like this, calico mops. And you can get sort of slightly different sizes like these here. You can get some little hard felt mops as well. They're going to be ideal because they're a hard mop. They're going to be ideal for a hard pre-polish. Again, you see me use these white nylon brushes all the time. I would always use this with a pre-polish. So then what I would do is perhaps put the piece through the ultrasonic, make it nice and clean, get all that pre-polish off, nice fresh state. Then I would come along and use something like this. This is pretty worn one now. And this is a little soft woolen mop, and this would be for my rouge. I would not use a hard calico mop like this. It's a hard mop. It's for hard polishing. Nice, gorgeous, soft mop, ideal for soft polishing, for a rouge. And always keep your mops separate. Keep these for the pre-polish, keep the nice woolen mops for the rouge. Really is quite simple. Keep all these separated, Andrew, so all my rouge mops go one side, all my calico mops go the other side. Let's quickly get a bit of silver. Let's use the buff sticks, and let me just quickly show you now what I mean. Let's take this blue paper plastic off the protection. So I would always try and keep the protective wrapper upon the silver for as long as possible. There you go, look at that. That's a nice, fresh, shiny bit of silver. It looks shiny, but you know what? We could get that shinier than what it is. So let's get the buff stick, and we're going to get that nice coarse grit. All right, and we're just going to go over, say, half of this particular piece with the coarse grit. So there we go. We got a lovely, nice, coarse texture on that. Nice shiny area here. So what we need to do now is to go over with the slightly finer, the other side of the buff stick. So that's what I just used. Let's turn it over onto the finer side. And really what you should do is go now at 90 degrees to the direction. We were going in this direction. You turn it really 90 degrees now and go in the opposite direction using the slightly finer side. And what we're looking to do is to get rid of all those marks that are running in one direction and replace those marks with buff marks that are running in the other direction. Again, what I'm going to do is only do half of that piece I've just done. So what I'm trying to do here is get any marks that were running in this direction to be removed, to be replaced with marks in this direction. And I've got some slight little marks left just to try and get rid of. Like that. Okay, so the marks we're putting on are getting finer and finer. Let's turn that around again. And if you want to get a little bit of water upon the emery paper, you can do. And let's go over again, just that little area now that we just did. Really, really fine, replacing them with the finer marks that we put on. So at each stage, what you're trying to be doing is getting the different finer lines as we go. We got the lines down here that were originally put on with 600 grit. We got lines running this way, I think it was it? Not even quite sure now which way it was, but anyway, we're trying to get finer lines each time we come onto our, whether it be sheet or whether it be the ring. So let's just make sure we get these nice fine lines put on. Nice fine lines in the one direction. You only want to see lines running in the direction that you're actually sanding or buffing. There we go. Okay, so these are the lines now running in this direction. That was with the nicely fine emery paper. And now we're going to switch over to a nice hard calico mop, and we're going to use some pre-polish. Doesn't matter whether you're going to be using Tripoli or whether you're going to be using some Menzerna or Lux or whatever is your favorite pre-polish. It really does not matter. Get your flex shaft or get your Dremel going. Always important to wear eye protection, obviously, with any rotary tool. And now it's exactly the same as what we just did. We got the lines running in this direction. So what we want to do is to have the mop running in the opposite direction. And what we're trying to do now is to remove all those lines. What you don't want to do is to polish in the same direction as those lines, because basically you're polishing the furrows, you're polishing the lines. You want to go this way and you're almost like burnishing the metal with the polish. So I'm not really running the pendant motor, or perhaps your Dremel. I'm not running it that fast. And what I'm looking to do is to remove all the emery paper marks that are running in this direction with the polish running in the opposite direction. And you can just about see that happening. What I made was actually put a cloth over my peg. That way we can keep the peg nice and clean. Okay, so we're replacing the polish quite a bit, quite often. So all the lines that are running in this direction are now being replaced with the polished lines, and the lines that are being put in by the polish, by the mop, in the opposite direction. Okay, so that's the Tripoli. There's a bit more down by there. Let me just get those a bit. So now, as you should be able to see, we've got a lovely shine, a pre-polish. Don't forget, this is a pre-polish, so there may be still some slight marks on it, may not be completely bright. We're going to swap over now to a nice soft rouge mop. That's a nice soft woolen mop, and we're going to use, again, a nice bit of super finish, a super fine. I'm going to use Menzerna in this case, or you could easily use your rouge. Now, I should put this through the ultrasonic, but I'm a little bit lazy, and I'm just simply going to wipe it over. It is important to get rid of all the traces of the previous polish that has been put on there. So that means me turning my cloth over to use the other side. And now what we're going to do, is use the rouge. Now don't forget, the last lot of emery paper you can just about see is running in this direction. We've now polished in this direction, so the rouge has to go back now in this direction. So always going at 90 degrees to the previous polish or the previous direction of the motor. So a nice soft polish. Don't forget, keep applying the polish. And I'm just going to pop it into the ultrasonic just for a second, because by using a cloth and really pushing hard to get all of that polish off is actually going to scratch it again. So just give me 1 second just to get into the ultrasonic. So straight out of the ultrasonic, and you can see what a beautiful finish that we've got. These are the areas here that we used with the emery paper, but now that is showing a beautiful high finish. You can see the reflection of the cloth, see the reflection of the camera in it. In fact, you can even see me in it. It's as simple as that, providing you follow the basic steps. I do cheat. I use the 1 grit paper and reuse it over the different faces of the buff stick. Then we simply use a pre-polish and a polish using a calico and then a rouge mop either in your Dremel or your flex shaft. And it really is as simple and as easy as that. Don't forget, please subscribe if you haven't done so already, and smash the little bell icon on the air to be notified when films go live on our YouTube channel. Don't forget, please give this film a thumbs up if you like, and don't forget, please share it with your friends. I'd absolutely love you to. But in the meantime, my name's Andrew Berry for At The Benches YouTube channel. Take care, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. To At The Benches YouTube channel. First time! Don't forget, please subscribe if you haven't done so already. Smash the little bell icon on the end there smash the